No, no, Power Rangers. Bow, wow, 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 wow. No, no, Power Rangers. Bow, wow, 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 wow. No, no, Power Rangers. Hardly any action in this movie. Honestly, I'm not sure what's sadder, the fact that people actually clapped in my theater at the end of this movie, or the fact that it's getting average-ish reviews. So Power Rangers, anyway, is a 2017 remake of the 1990s Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series, and it stars 5 teenagers with personal problems of their own, like teenagers often have, who stumble across these 5 power rocks while doing some digging. They don't really explain what they're digging for, but they come across these power rocks that make them super strong, and they find out, okay, we're the Power Rangers, and we have to stop Rita Repulsa, who's coming and trying to wreck our small town that no one's ever heard of. So anyway, Power Rangers, I have a lot of bones to pick with this movie, but I'm going to try to start positive. So first of all, what's at least admirable in this movie is their attempt to focus on the 5 teenagers. There is a lot of attempted character development. They give every character more backstory than they do in most superhero movies like Guardians of the Galaxy or even Fantastic for that matter, as crappy as that was. But they at least try to focus. There's a lot of teenage melodrama that really wasn't interesting to see for me, but I could at least give the movie points in the fact that they attempted to give the characters the development that they should have had. Another thing is that the characters themselves, they had good dynamics, they had chemistry with each other, but they just weren't good enough actors. Like, the only time I might have giggled like twice or chuckled twice in this whole movie, and both times were because of the Blue Ranger. He had some pretty good lines, and he was my favorite out of all of them by far. But the problem is the actors were really, it wasn't really their fault. I felt really bad for them because I felt like they were really trying, but they were given a horrible script and the dialogue was so cheesy and so cliche and so out of place. I couldn't really help but their performance was not, their performance was the best it could have been, but it was still really awkward and flat to watch overall. So yeah, those are the 2 things. The character dynamics, they really felt like a team by the end. Their friendship felt genuine. It didn't feel forced like some other superhero movies where there's just this conflict that forces us to be together. No, I feel like they tried to be friends apart from their mission, which was actually kind of cool to see. Now, everything else I didn't like about this movie. First of all, like I said in the intro, there's hardly any action. A good 2/3, maybe more of this movie is focused on that teenage melodrama in high school that we've seen in movies over and over again. And when they finally do get their suits, when they finally do get the Power Ranger action, it's just really lame. It's very lame. It's very cliche. First of all, this movie does not know how to shoot action. There's, in the first 2 acts of the movie, there's like chase scenes where the camera's just like spinning round and round, then it goes first person, then it's shaky, and then it's just really confusing and jarring to watch. You're like, no, focus, either focus on the outside of the car or focus on the inside of the car. And while you're dealing with this, watching this messy camera work, there's horrible one-liners and cliche dialogue we've heard all the time, trying to, like the writers trying to say, hey, we understand how teenagers talk. We understand it, guys, we promise. But yeah, the action was horrible. When they finally got in their Power Ranger suits, they try to like do all these slow motion shots where they'd hit something, and then they speed it up rapidly to make sure the object goes flying, like in a Transformers movie. It really did not work at all. I did not enjoy watching the action in this 3rd act. And the action is confined to the 3rd act, actually. Another thing that I really hate about this movie, the only real action is in the last 20 to 30 minutes of the movie, and that is already shot horribly, like I explained. And it's incredibly hokey. There's this one moment, you'll know it if you see this movie. Hopefully you don't pay money in theaters to see this movie, but if you do, you'll know the one moment I'm talking about where I just gave up. I was like, this is, even for Power Rangers, this is way too lame. This is way too hokey and over the top. If you know you like Power Rangers, just watch the original cartoon, because you'll know you like that. but don't pay money to actually see this in the theater. But anyway, another thing is that the characters in themselves, although they tried to be developed, they're ultimately stereotypes of themselves. You got the high school star football captain who has a chip on his shoulder. You got the nerdy black kid. You got the teenage girl rebel who just lost her friends and she cuts her hair to show, yeah, she really doesn't care about what people think about her now. You got the guy who's a little loopy, the crazy radical guy who lives in the mountains, and it's just like, I've seen all this. I've seen these characters before. Not even in a Power Rangers context, just in high school rip-off movies in general. But yeah, there was in the villain, okay, Elizabeth Banks plays Rita Repulsa, and she gives that whole like William Dafoe Green Goblin like over the top, and she didn't add anything in this movie in my opinion. I apologize if my energy's a little low for this review, but this movie sucked the energy out of me, honestly. There wasn't a single moment. The dialogue was so cliche. The characters were such stereotypes. The action was filmed so horribly. I walked out of the theater and I said, I don't think I enjoyed any of that. They focused too much on the character teenage melodrama we've seen a million times, and that was that. That wasn't enjoyable for me. And then when they actually got the Power Ranger suits, you know, the thing people are coughing up money for, it wasn't interesting for me either. So, in that case, that huge gamble the movie took was a lose-lose for me. There wasn't anything I enjoyed in Power Rangers. If I was in a chill hangout setting with my friends, and in some hellish nightmare, our only two movies we could watch would be Power Rangers or Batman vs. Superman, I'd pick Batman vs. Superman in a heartbeat. You know why? Because there are parts of that movie I legitimately enjoy. I love Ben Affleck's Batman. I love how the Justice League is starting to form a little bit towards the end. There's the warehouse scene. There are enjoyable aspects of Batman vs. Superman, but I can confidently say there wasn't really a single part I legitimately enjoyed in Power Rangers. That's why I gotta give it overall 2.5 stars. Please approach with caution. Don't go in there expecting this nostalgic blast from the past, because honestly, this movie is nostalgic in all the wrong ways. It's incredibly cheesy like you remember in the wrong ways. Not that it's like, haha, this is fun cheesy. No, this is just lame cheesy and you're cringing the whole time. They try to make jabs and references at the original source material that come across really forced, and it doesn't happen naturally. And this movie was just an ultimate disappointment to me, but ultimately that's what I expected. Anyway, guys, I'm packed. Thanks so much for hearing my perspective on Power Rangers, and I'm out for now.